So what are the laws on this matter? Firstly, new cars, since 2016, cannot produce over 72 decibels when tested under certain conditions. Before the general election was called, there were plans to bring the limit down to 68. Tyres are also limited in the volume they can create, between 72 and 76 decibels depending on type. That's a law since 2012. Secondly, it is illegal to modify your exhaust with the result of making your car louder than 72 decibels. Exhausts have silencers fitted to suppress noise, and boy racers remove these so their cars sound more impressive. £50 fines can be issued by the police for an exhaust infraction, or the vehicle may be removed from the highway until it is road legal again. It is also prohibited to unnecessarily rev your engine. Then, of course, you have speed limits and laws against dangerous or drug driving. Cars over 3 years old have to pass the annual MOT. This includes a visual examination of the exhaust system, silencers, and underbonnet insulation, known as noise deadening material. Some garages may be passing MOTs knowing cars are at fault, perhaps bribed to do so. If so, this should be clamped down upon harshly. The MOT also involves a discretionary judgment from the mechanic on whether the vehicle is too loud. This is ambiguous and too open to abuse. We should look at making a proper noise test mandatory in the process. Another ambiguity in the law is that some of the practices to modify exhausts are illegal, and so are many parts used to do so. This could also be looked at. Can the law be made tighter on such matters so that it can't be abused to make vehicles louder? I hate to over-regulate, but we have to get a grip of this problem. In 2023, a firm in Kirklees called AET Motorsport was prosecuted and fined over £7,000 for modifying a car to increase its exhaust noise. They did this by removing the catalytic converter, replacing it with a delete pipe, and altering the engine software. These sorts of prosecutions must be increased as a deterrent to others. There are then dozens of ways to bring these offenders to book. What we need is a police force that is capable and motivated to do so. We need more police officers with a keen interest in keeping their patch free of crime. They need to go out there, look for nuisance drivers, examine their cars, and fine or detain them depending on how serious their infractions are. They cannot shirk the task just because they are scared of physical trouble, risking allegations of discrimination, or making paperwork for themselves. A visible and competent police force issuing the harshest penalties will soon bring the problem to bear. Word of mouth and word of social media will let the racers know their fun is over. There need to be fines levied and then multiple points issued on licenses if the offender persists. If the points are used up, then the license must be revoked. If the offender is found driving without a license at a later date, there should be a custodial sentence. We should do this if they have been involved in dangerous driving as well. These people need to see accountability for their actions. There have been trials since 2022 of noise cameras that capture offending vehicles and then issue fines. If such a thing could take off, this would be another weapon in the arsenal. We could also make it easier to report nuisance drivers to the police. Perhaps we could develop an app where the public can report number plates of offenders or areas where car meets occur, allowing the police to target locations for speed traps and vehicle checks. Indeed, in general, non-emergency contact with the police needs to be greatly improved. It has got to the stage where reporting anything seems pointless. Another factor to be considered is curbing the cheap credit schemes allowing young people to afford high-end cars. Could we put a higher age limit on them, or make them illegal for those with criminal records? The authorities could also get tougher on the social media pages encouraging illegal driving. It is certainly very odd to see dozens of obvious vehicle noise offenders, while the rest of us are being encouraged by hook or by crook to become more environmentally friendly and electric cars are spookily quiet. While we pay our ULEZ fees, buy parking permits, and are threatened over eating meat or having boilers in our houses, the yobs attempt to rival Formula One in full view of the authorities. In what has become known as a narco-tyranny, the law-abiding citizen is coerced and punished, while the lawless are allowed to run amok, forcing the citizen to become more reliant on the state for protection. Many contend this is a deliberate agenda being pursued, and when your high street turns into a Vin Diesel movie, it does not seem so implausible. Certainly something has to give here. The issue feels like the front line of a much broader societal battle against crime and disorder. If the streets feel unsafe, intimidating and lawless on the surface, and to the criminal a paradise, more serious crime is only going to intensify. The boy racer problem is of course trivial when compared to the almost daily stabbings in London and elsewhere, but it is part of the same culture. It's a culture where the authorities have given up and selfish nihilists do exactly what they want without fear or boundaries. If we grasp the nettle now, maybe we can reclaim the streets for law-abiding, respectful citizens, like James May.